There we
Okay,
go.
it's being live streamed now, it says.
Okay, right.
It's taking a second to show up. It's not showing up yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, we can go ahead
There
and
we
start.
go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's working. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to SongNet. My name's
There you
Jimmy. Steve is our host, kind of, I guess, today in a lot of different ways here because this is. Oh, where'd Steve go? There he is. Nope. I don't know where Steve. Steve must have.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
he's on there now. I see him.
Okay. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to SongNet. My name's Jimmy. Nope. Steve is our. Let's see. Hang on. Our
That's
host, kind of, I
another
guess,
Jimmy.
today. Yeah. No. What's happening is we're hearing the echo from the SongNet page. I'm trying to fix that right
From the
now.
live stream.
I don't know why this is doing this. I think Steve went into SongNet's YouTube page to check it out instead of being here. So that's why we're hearing that. That's okay. There he is. Now he's back. Okay. So anyway, um, yeah, Stephen met Camara, I guess, in passing somewhere. I'm not quite sure exactly how that situation went, but the whole idea is that you
Sorry
know.
about that, guys. A technical problem
No,
there.
that's okay. Yeah, we
Yeah,
heard a lot of stuff going on there too.
yeah.
But as we were just discussing, though, it's about being in the moment. Steve was somewhere and he met Camara and he said, "Hey, this is pretty cool." And they connected and found out that Camara's one of those guys where his name is everywhere on a lot of TV shows and stuff, but nobody knows who he is, and that's the important thing to do. So we just decided, I said, well, yeah, Steve, we'd love to have him here. And so Steve hooked up with him, and now we've got him here. Um, he's got quite a list of cred going on, but I'm just going to let him talk about what he's all about here. So let's go ahead and we're going to mute everybody except Camara. So, Camara, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're all about and what's going on?
Sure, sure. First, let me say it's great to be here with you guys, and hopefully in our conversations and everything that this whole Zoom meeting will be helpful and beneficial for in a lot of different reasons. Um, it's kind of interesting. Steve and I actually met at one of the SEL meet. It was the awards,
That's
right?
right. Yeah, yeah.
And this is kind of ties into what we were talking about a little earlier, in that there is some value in kind of you know recognizing moments that happen, and taking advantage of them, and seizing the moments. I actually went up to Steve in a line and, and initiated a conversation with him, just as a dude who was in a line. We were both there and we just talked, and and in that conversation we never once really talked about what either of us really did or credits or anything like that. We just kind of engaged as two people who were in a line, and it wasn't until afterwards, after we had even left the award show, that we kind of researched each other or Googled each other, and we're like, "Oh, you do this, you do that, you do that," which, ironically enough, is a great thing. And I think that uh, when I think about the trajectory that I have been on in my career, there have been countless instances like that. Um, I originally started off trained as a classical pianist, and grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. And at an early age, it's pretty clear that I was, I guess, what they label a prodigy, and the trajectory of my life, from playing with Dizzy Gillespie to 13, and starting to write for the Cosby Show when I was in grade school, and in a different world, and really having a sense that music was at the foundation of my life. It actually wasn't until grade school, when I was introduced to the music director for the Cosby Show, that the idea of making music for visual media was actually something that even seemed possible to me. It was then that it was revealed to me that you could actually, make a living, as a composer in TV. Um, Having said that, I had came from the concert world, so the being familiar with composers like George Crumb and John Cage, and and I mean, of course, the classics. I spent a lot of time studying a lot of music from South America, in Buenos Aires, in particular. Composers like Juan Jose Castro, Ginastera, and Guastavino, and all those kind of cats. But at the same time, I was a jazz cat, so I was playing with jazzers, and you know played with Pat Metheny, and played with Kenny Denard, and one of my great mentors was Jack Pastorius, Jaco Pastorius' dad. Um, so along the way, as I'm kind of going through my whole trajectory, I had some uh, great opportunities and meetings with people, um, but at the same time, I was kind of crystallizing exactly how I wanted to uh, embark on the industry. And initially, I knew that that wasn't going to be as a pianist, a concert pianist. Although my teacher wished that that were the case, that really wasn't in my bones, to go that route. I knew that for me, I would be better satisfied as a composer and as a producer. And so, after graduating from Peabody, they had a preparatory program for grade school kids. After completing that, I enrolled at Berkeley, where I had decided that I would enter as a music production engineering and film scoring major. And I did that. And while I was there, I also started writing music for documentaries for PBS, which was the way that I put myself through school, actually. And I was doing like 2 films a year, and going to school. And it was in that last year, in addition to that, just producing, writing all kinds of music, from Brazilian marchas to jazz to rock stuff to, I mean, just all kinds of stuff. Anything that I could do, I would do. Um, I composed music for student variety shows, at the local colleges like Emerson, and anything that I could do to write, I just wrote. I just did it, and just was just really excited about just putting myself in situations that I had never done before, but felt that I was capable of doing, and that's how that was my tutor in a sense, so my teacher. Um, my last year in college was when a documentary that I had composed music for HBO. It was my last year. Actually graduated from college and decided to move out to LA. And ironically enough, on this particular day, I received 2 phone calls, and one of those phone calls was that a score that I had written my senior year in college was nominated for an Emmy. And the other phone call was from Dr. Dre's assistant, that he was looking for a keyboard player at that time. Um, and so, ironically enough, it was kind of like at that point, it was a clear indication that there were 2 paths that would really define my career in a sense, as a composer and as a producer and songwriter with Dre. And I worked with Dre for about 10 years. From there, working with artists from Nas to Eminem to 50 Cent to Mary J. and Gwen Stefani. And there I was, in addition to his music director, orchestrator, arranger, and all of that, was also a songwriter as well. Um, and it was an amazing opportunity. But on the other side of things, I was also a composer, composing music for TV and film. Uh, and they definitely work hand in hand, and continue, to work hand in hand. Um, a lot has happened since then, and and I could go, on and on. But how about we start there and then get into some other stuff, So, unless there's any, questions or anything, from anybody before we get into some songs.
Um, yeah, I guess we could. I believe you guys can unmute yourselves. It looks like you can. So if you
Yeah.
have a question, go ahead and unmute yourself and just ask.
You started to mention, Camara, about these things went hand in hand, where you were
Mm-hmm.
composing and writing for
Mm-hmm.
TV and film at the same time. I mean, how did writing records, I mean, a song, go hand in hand with TV and film, which to me just kind of seemed different?
Yeah, it's a great question. Okay. At the time, I had an idea, and this wasn't being done as much then as it is now. But from my background, I was always, aware of, and had a desire to write songs just as much as I had a desire to write underscore and dramatic music. I had an equal appreciation for both. Um, and being in the in working with one of the hottest and still hottest producers of all time, really gave me kind of an entree into working on projects where I wouldn't necessarily just be seen as a songwriter, but my background and legitimacy, having won an Emmy, it gave me that legitimacy as a composer as well in my background. So it started happening is that, like, take for instance, this is a perfect example. When I was introduced to Oliver Stone when he was working on Any Given Sunday at the time, he had this kind of vast idea of how music fit in. There was this Native American music that he wanted to do, and but then he also, there were so many elements in that movie that made it what it was. There was an urban element to it. There was this kind of sports thing that was going on. There were all of these different things. But one of the things that he was really excited about, at that time, is making sure that in his way of incorporating a lot of different creative ideas from composers uh, who were multi-dimensional. And so the idea of bringing in Swizz Beatz, the idea of bringing someone in like me who had a background with working in one of the hottest hip hop producers in the world, but at the same time understood what it meant to write cues for a movie, worked in the context of what he was trying to do as a filmmaker. So when he said to me, hey, I really love this artist named Macy Gray, that for me kind of raised, wait a minute, Macy Gray and I have a connection to Macy Gray. I'm already working on the film. And since I know kind of what is happening in the film, I can bring a song to this that fits in the context of what this film is. So since I was straddling both sides, I was able to bring a song to him, get a song approved, get a song placed, while at the same time writing score for the film. But that was all a matter of, again, like what we talked about, or what I mentioned before, kind of being open to, okay, well, what is possible? Like that kind of youthful, angst that we have, that allows us to convince ourselves that anything that comes to you is possible. And so you go for it. And that's what happened. So, and that was kind of like a theme that was, that kind of followed me, when I was working on films. A lot of times I would write the score, but then I would also write songs as well. Nowadays, it's kind of ironic to me that you'll see that a lot more now, that a lot of composers are doing co-writes, with a lyricist or, other songwriters. So they may, write underscore, but at the same time they're writing, songs as well, But I was doing that 20 years ago, you know. So yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, my pleasure, my pleasure.
And what you're doing today, how would you characterize that? In other words, where you are at this point, are you more on the composing or on the songwriting side?
It's the same. Uh,
Okay.
it's the same. There, I recently, I think I mentioned this, or this was mentioned in the bio. I recently acquired my master's in transpersonal psychology. I actually took a break from entertainment for a while, um, and to get a different perspective for me on the business and kind of where my priorities were as a creative. Um, and in doing so, I my thesis project was actually based on um, a transformation, basically. When you have, and you guys will probably, totally relate to this, being, in the business. The plasticity that exists in our business can be overwhelming at times, and it makes it very difficult at times to really know where your anchor is, and it's extremely important to have a sense of where that anchor is as you go through not only the ups and downs of things, but also being able to, again, take advantage of, certain opportunities. And so, at any rate, I created this film that turned out to be my thesis, that was about this journey of transformation, going from kind of an egoic sensibility to a more spiritual sensibility. But the project was really centered around using this as a means to, show, express my creative expression through poetry, through original songs, which featured Macy Gray and Sarah Bareilles and some artists from Canada, Joe Parisian, Angela Villa, and underscore as well. So the music, the poetry was all created by myself. Ironically enough, to get to your question, the original idea of that project was to be a live concert that actually features this multitude or multi-dimensional creative expression, through songs with artists that were from popular artists that we're familiar with, and underscore created by myself, that tells the story in a live concert format. So that's something that I'm developing, right now, which I'm really excited about. And in the process, at the same time, doing my film work as well as songwriting as well. So to answer your question, it's kind of like what I was doing 20 years ago, plus some.
I see.
You know,
Wow.
what's kind of interesting to me is that you just said something that I've been telling a lot of people recently: is don't wait for the movie, make it yourself.
That's true. Yeah.
Because there's so many
Exactly.
people that are like, well, I want to get placement in film and TV, but the harsh reality is that it's very difficult to get those placements and stuff, especially if you have no track record. So
Yeah.
if you work on creating the movie yourself, or you find like a student filmmaker that's willing to use your stuff, then all of a sudden you've got a shot and you've got a movie or a video that can work. And so for what you did as your thesis, I think that's very cool. Where even at your
Hmm.
level, you're able to do that and
Hmm.
create a movie and create an experience that helps drive everything and kind of puts everything together for what you do. So
I've been told
Yeah.
similar things about
Go ahead.
theater as well. That it's like people say, well, you have a nice song. It sounds like theater, but you really want to make it happen. It's like find a group of people and do it. you know?
Exactly. Make
Yeah.
it happen. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely been like a phrase that, has been a cornerstone, and a motivator for me. Make it happen. You know, I don't know of anyone, and this is, that I have that has been a mentor along the way, or that, I've met, or that I've mentored myself, that hasn't been able to uh, uh, get something from doing a variety of different things in a focused manner. But getting songs placed isn't is it's less about getting songs placed and more about all of the other stuff that puts you in that type of scenario. The relations, who you're talking to, the time, where you met them, what happened. Did you make it happen now as opposed to tomorrow? Did you, I mean, those kind of subtleties are really, I mean, of course, this is, while you're developing your craft, we don't want to take any focus away from the importance of developing your craft. But it all has to be tied in with, I have a vision for what I'm trying to accomplish. And there are going to be a multitude of things that you never know which one is going to get you there. And that's why it's important that you do them all, that you do them all. And that's a little different, a lot different than being a jack of all trades. That's not what I'm saying at all. But that I would have never thought that my kind of entrance into entertainment in the way that I thought would have come from hip hop music. Hip hop music is part of who I am. Yeah, I grew up in hip hop music, but I also studied Stravinsky and studied so. But who would have thought that because I had studied Stravinsky, because I had studied all those classical things, the music that was actually represented in, a multitude of records in the early 2000s with, and classic records. When you listen to ostinatos that are in those records with Eminem and Dre, those classical elements, that's where it came from. It came from my background as a classical musician. And I would have never thought, there's no way you could even predict that kind of thing. So yeah.
How long was your thesis movie? How many minutes?
It's 30, a little shy of 30 minutes. And you know what I'll do? I'll send you a link to it actually.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Because like I said, it's definitely, a piece that, it's very personal. Yes, very personal. But it's also one of those that, is all inclusive of kind of every creative expression that I feel I have to offer, and was something else, man. I mean, life change. I can't say enough about it, I really can't. So yeah, I'll send you the link, and then you can share it with people, anybody who wants to check it out, and know that it's just a microcosm of the projects still yet to come, Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So many questions. One of the things that's people always want to know is how you got a certain break. In other words, if you had 2 or 3 breaks that you got along the way, how did those happen? Or I mean, of course, you have to be out there, but I'm just curious in terms of some of the, we all need a bit of luck, so to speak, every now and then. And luck, as we said, chance favors the prepared mind. But anything that you could relate that would be kind of a turning point, like you mentioned.
Right. Well, there are definitely many. I think some people will consider it luck, but I prefer to say it's just being aware,
Right.
because it maybe some of that has to do with just my just understanding of things and my study, but there are no coincidences, and I firmly believe in that. For example, for me, 13 years old, those years were very transformational for me. I was introduced to Pat Metheny. I was introduced to Keith Jarrett. Then I was introduced to those two sounds of music really influenced as a performer how I heard music, how I was writing music, and a lot. But around that same time, though, uh, I had met uh, the music composer or director for the Cosby Show, and his name is Stu Gardner. Stu Gardner has been a collaborator with Cosby, ever since before anybody knew Cosby. He's been with Cosby. And I met Stu in a clothing store. It had nothing to do with music whatsoever. But we were in a situation where I was selling clothes, where I was actually not even old enough to be selling clothes in this store, in Baltimore. But the manager of the store just liked my vibe. She thought I was cool and thought I was had an energetic kid, something about me just spoke to her, and she hired me. Well, as it turned out, this particular day, Stu Gardner walks in, and I didn't know who he was. I had no idea, at all. He walks into the store, but he had kind of like a thing about him, an aura about him, he was somebody that I should know or somebody that I should speak to. I was not a pushy salesperson, but I was aware that there was something special about this person. So I went up to him and I said, "Hey, do you need any help? Can I help you?" He's like, and he was kind of an ass, actually. He was like, "No, rah, 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 I don't need any help from you, blah, blah." So I was like, okay, no, I'm not a pushy salesman. So I just let him do his thing, and kind of did my circling back. I said, "Hey, just wanted to make sure, you're all cool. If you needed anything, any help." And he was getting ready to bark at me again. But this time when he was going to bark, he noticed that I had a treble clef charm on my necklace. Okay. And he says, "Hey, so are you a musician?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, first question. Are you any good?" I'm like, "Dude, what?" Okay, are you serious? I don't want to, yeah, I know I'm good, but I didn't want to come off conceited or arrogant, how am I supposed to answer that? And he said, I kind of stumbled, a little bit. He said, "First lesson, whenever someone asks you, if you're good or not, you tell them. It's a yes or no question. Either you are or you aren't. It's that simple." But from that exchange, that was really what opened up this world to me. We started talking. As it turned out, he was at that time the only composer in TV that was working on a primetime television show where the music was being produced on the East Coast. Everything else, Snuffy and Mike Post and, Jonathan Wolf, all of those cats, all of them, they were writing, all in LA, but he was the only person who happened to be in Richmond, Virginia, which was, I grew up in Baltimore, was just a hop, skip, and a jump, from where I grew up. So, and that was the beginning. That was the introduction. He invited me down to his studio sessions. We, developed a long-standing relationship. He opened up, my eyes to that side of things. But as I said before, the initial conversation had absolutely nothing to do with music at all, but there was something that was resonating from him that I was clued in enough to inquire, to kind of reach out, to kind of seek, and that led me down a road that, has definitely been integral in my life.
That's quite a story.
and there's lots
Wow.
of them like that, man.
Yeah.
It's really, I tell, because I speak to a lot of kids around that age, because they're kind of going through, trying to figure out kind of what they're doing or where they want to go and trying to clarify things. They have a lot of different things going on, and so and I talk about those kinds of stories, and really, following your gut. It's that youthful gut, regardless of where we are in our careers, where we are in our age, that gut feeling and that fire that there has absolutely nothing to do with age. It has to do with your spirit, your desire, your vision for what you believe. And that's more the key to anything. Staying connected to that when you hear no, 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 consistently. To like remind ourselves that you can have 200 no's, but it's only the 201st yes or the first yes that really makes the difference. But then how do you prepare yourself for for that opportunity. Um, so
Wow.
You said something interesting, and I don't want to really let it go, because earlier you were talking about Eminem and Dr. Dre, who I consider
mhm.
to be very um, like genius, and you said you studied Stravinsky, and then they had elements of that in their compositions or whatever, and I thought to myself, did they know they had these things in them while they were composing all these years? Because they're, like I say, to me, they have a genius in them that's all their own, but it's a genius, and yet you see elements of Stravinsky. Did they, in reverse, realize what was in them, that they had something so monumental?
Well, I think the question is kind of twofold, actually. I don't think that, okay, case in point, we'll take a song, for example, Forgot About Dre, which is a song that I co-wrote and centers around a staccato ostinato, a classical staccato ostinato. Okay, no, from a classical standpoint, they would not refer to that as, hey, that's a Stravinsky-esque or a classical, that's coming from a classical idiom. But having heard that, okay, with Dre, one of the things that he was trying to do as a producer at that time was to integrate more, quote unquote, realistic instruments in his production. So having heard that, it was like, that was something that fits into what he was trying to create as a producer.
Wow, okay.
And just like Quincy, I mean, Quincy does a lot of that, stuff too. He'll like, he just knows, or any great producer, they know how a particular element resonates in the context of what their vision is, and then they kind of work it, from there. With Eminem, when we did "My Name Is," which wasn't a co-write. My Name Is was basically we replayed a sample of an existing song. I can't remember exactly what it was from, but from my classical training, which trained my ears in a certain way, copying that that figure exactly like it was on the record was directly related to my study. That's why if you were to listen to the sample and you listen to what we actually did, it sounds exactly, you can't tell the difference. From the sound of like the grit of the roads to the attack to all of those kinds of things. So it's kind of like, those are the kinds of things that, you know, people like myself, we had a team of us who were working, but it was our background
Yeah.
that allowed us to kind of, interject what we were doing and create, this sound
Okay.
that, that became what we know today.
Interesting.
Yeah. I
Thank
have
you.
a
Yeah.
sort of a corollary question to that. Oftentimes, when you go to songwriting events such as Taxi or ASCAP or whatever, and they play songs and then they critique them, some of the comments are, well, it doesn't sound contemporary enough. And of course, that begs the question, what is contemporary? And oftentimes what I hear, especially in some of the pop music these days, is it's a sound you've simply never heard of before. And one of the speakers we had a while back played all these very, very unusual instruments that very few people had ever heard of. But my question comes down to this. Do you spend much time in the studio trying to create what I would call a brand new sound, something that's very different? Or is it more a matter of just using instruments correctly, like, you know, throwing in this instrument in that particular place, etc.? Or do you actually deliberately try to create new sounds?
I definitely think that there is some value in. Um, I think this is related to kind of just the growth as a creative. We can easily be defined by a particular sound necessarily, but I find that, I mean, I've written certain things that sound stale to me, you know, because the way, I'm different than I was 2 weeks ago. And what I want to create is something that reflects kind of where I am or where I'm going rather than where I've been all the time, you know. Now, that's not to say that that's not going to be kind of interspersed in there. And so I do think that there is value in understanding and kind of being clued into kind of um, what is quote unquote contemporary or what is happening now. Because I think some people, when they refer to contemporary, they're actually more referring to what they're familiar with at the time rather than what's coming. Because a lot of times, a lot of A&R people don't know what the next thing is. They really don't know. You know, it kind of, you can tell, like, case in point, I remember when Ray LaMontagne, first, before he was signed to RCA, the first label that actually got a look at him was Hollywood Records. Okay. And I remember because I was listening to his demos that's wound up for that first record, turned out to be exactly the record. There wasn't much change between his demos and what it wound up being. For a person who was clued into, I mean, that was at that time, you would never put that's contemporary. You wouldn't put a label on it. It was just awesome music. It just resonated in that way. Now, the one thing about him that was so brilliant with that first "Forever My Friend" and "Trouble," that voice that he had was just, oh man, it was just killer. You could not deny the voice because it took you to a certain place. When he's saying, and the story that he told in those songs with trouble, 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 you could feel, it's the same feeling that you would get when you hear a Marvin Gaye tune, or you hear Otis Redding, or you hear Fleetwood Mac, or the Beatles. It was the same kind of feeling. It was honest music that was undeniably resonating to a deeper place than just, hey, that's a great melody, that's a great lyric. It was to the soul. But Hollywood Records didn't get it. How many times have we heard that? So it wasn't until uh, Ashley Newton, people over at RCA were like, nah, man, he's our guy, he's the one, this is where it fits, and that first record, like I said, that demo was no different than when I heard it in my studio and, A&R was playing it for me than when it was released, a few years later. So I think, to go back to what your question is there is value in kind of understanding kind of what the lay of the land is. The challenge, though, is understanding if that's something where you fit, or whatever song you're creating is in, resonates in that lane, or if it's in another lane and how much conviction you have if it is another lane to go down that lane. But again, there is no, if you're writing for a film, say for instance, you might need to write a song that is in the quote unquote contemporary, sound. So there's value in that, but that doesn't mean that that's necessarily your sound or that. So did I answer your question? Okay.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions?
Yes.
Before we start listening, yeah.
Hey,
Just one
Nancy.
more.
Sure, sure.
As many as
Do
possible.
you find value in writing out? You obviously are multi-genre writer, but I mean, and if for those of us that are not, let's say, do you find value in trying to write outside the box that you're in, or the, you know?
Definitely, definitely, definitely.
And what's the best way to approach that? You know, outside writing, getting outside of the box you're in that you've holed yourself up
Right.
in.
You know, I think the best way to do that is to basically do what I consider exercises. Um, say, for instance, okay, here I find like the best way to kind of explain things sometimes is anecdotally. So excuse me if it's kind of annoying or Um, I got a call, a friend of mine who's a music supervisor who was working on, this time he was working on Havana Nights, Dirty Dancing Havana Nights. Um, and he said he had some songs where he was writing for, no, he had some songs from Ozomatli at the time. Um, there were some other songs, but there was this one particular scene. It was an Ozomatli. He was using Ozomatli, and he was using some other things. But he needed a song for this particular scene, and he said, and I need, a song that would fit, in Cuba, and like salsa, blah 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 blah. Okay, at that time, I hadn't, although I had played salsa music, I had I hadn't written salsa music before, um, but I knew I could. I knew the sound in my head. Okay, so the first hurdle was to say, okay, Camara, okay, you're being asked this. Okay, do you have the wherewithal to tap into and the resources to tap into what will allow you to get there? So the first hurdle is getting past the walls that I may have set up for myself to define what my ability or what kind of music I do and don't write. That had to go out the window. There is no I can or I can't do this, that, or the other. And that's the first hurdle. Because when it comes down to it, I mean, really, music is music is music is music. They all use the same notes. They all use the same chords. It's all the same. What is the difference? Okay, well, there are obvious differences. You could have a song that, a salsa song that has the same form as any other traditionally structured pop song, but the instrumentation is going to make the difference. The lyric is going to make the difference. The cadence, the language, So what I did is, I chose that as an opportunity to do a co-write, with a friend of mine who we had played together. He was a singer, and so the both of us collaborated on this song. I did, the musical, background, song structure, the form. We worked on, I did the arrangement, I produced it, and we worked on lyrics together. But from a conceptual standpoint, I had the idea of what the concept should be and allow the opportunity and collaborative process to help me transition into a lane that I had never been in before. And it worked, and we got the song placed in the film. Um, it was good for both of us. We were, excited because, I mean, again, it was one of those opportunities that it was there, and I either had two options: either take advantage of it or squander it. And what's it going to be? You don't want to squander it. You make it happen. Just make it happen. So, does that help out at all, Nancy? Okay, cool.
I have a question.
Hey, it's
Hey,
Natalie. How are you,
yes,
Natalie?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm
Uh,
wonderful.
Thanks. I'm really learning a whole lot from what you're saying. I wanted to know if is there a song that you you won't write? Like for example, uh like, just a song that you wouldn't write because it feels like it's draining your own energy. Would
Mm,
does it matter?
I mean, I probably wouldn't be the guy to do like a Slipknot type tune. I mean, that's not really my lane. Although, I love like, System of a Down when they were out and some hard rock bands, like that. But that just doesn't resonate with me
Got
is
it.
is much. Um, but outside of that, no. I mean, music is music is music.
Okay.
And I say that, and I'm thinking of like, but wait a minute, remember that, you know, I have done like hard rock stuff like that, but now that I think about it, I'm like, wait a minute, but it was like in the film context. Um, but I guess what you're asking, what I'm getting from you is like something that is inspiring, something that's coming from me. I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't
Yeah.
go that way. Yeah, I probably wouldn't go
Okay.
that way. Yeah.
Okay. Is that something you have to
Um,
fight for when it comes to when you're collaborating with others, or you just say there's
no,
just
no,
okay.
not really. No.
Okay.
I think that, I mean, the great thing, about, the collaborations is that everybody kind of brings, their own kind of history, with them. And
Okay.
hopefully it's a collaboration. I mean, the ones that work are those where both person is kind of open to everybody bringing, to each person bringing
Sure.
their own, things to the table. I mean, that's what you want, So, yeah, and those are great
Okay.
opportunities.
I think there's another side to that too, though. Like if, say, for myself, with my, if somebody asked me to write like a really strong pro Trump gig thing, theme song for that guy, I probably would pass and say no. I think someone else should do that song. You know,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
because that would
Yeah. When
drain
you're
my
talking,
spirit for sure.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You're talking about political views or things like, yeah, kind of
Yeah,
morals
that
and
would
things.
violate authenticity.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you find do you find collaboration uh, the most advantageous way to write versus or I mean, I imagine you started out just writing on your own, but at some point you started to collaborate and realized, hey, maybe this is the way to go because there's more opportunity in collaboration. Would you say that would be true? There's more opportunities when you start to collaborate with people?
Not necessarily, because I
Really?
do yeah, because there have been instances where, having a singular viewpoint is most appropriate for the particular scenario. Case in writing a theme for the show Girlfriend, I wrote the lyrics and I wrote it all. Um, why? Because, I mean, it wasn't like, hey, I don't need to have a collaborator on this. It was just, it felt right. What I came up with, and it just came through me like that. So I didn't need to collaborate. I was very clear on what I was going for, and the producers loved it, so that was it. So the lyrics and um, but then, other instances you have certain collaborations that, um, or they just bring a magic to the process that would not be there any other way. And I mentioned Ray LaMontagne, but an artist like Ray LaMontagne, Macy Gray is like that. Macy, what she brings to a song is just, so magnificent. It's just so authentic. It's like you just have those artists who they can, sing the silliest of nonsense, but when they sing it, it's like, oh, the angels come out. And you know I remember a song we wrote together. That song we wrote together for Oliver Stone. I sent her this idea, and she said, called me up. She was on a plane and called me up and said, "Look, I recorded the hook to this. He recorded the hook on my answering machine, you know, and it was from that it was like the song just was so vivid to me. Like and there are artists that are that way, that they the way that they express themselves just inspires you in such a way that it's like it just comes so easily,
Great.
And so to answer your question, it really depends on the situation. Sometimes collaboration is great, but sometimes it's not necessary. And then other times, if a collaborator is kind of on ego time, it can be detrimental, actually. Because
Okay.
which that happens sometimes. I've done this, that, and the other, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, but okay.
Okay, yeah.
you know, that's
Thank
not going
you.
to help us. Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
All right.
Yeah. So.
Okay. What we can do is get started with some of the listening, and then as we listen, things will come up and questions can come up, especially. So things have a way of coming out after you listen to a song or and talk about it. So anyway, let's see. Since I have to do this.
Yeah, you are the host now, Steve.
That's
I
right.
Just made you host.
That's right. I know. I am now okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to put up the lyrics, and then we're going to listen to the song, and I'm going to make sure that I got all the settings right here. The first thing I do is share the screen and put on, let's see, share sound. And then, as I recall, I have to turn my sound way up for some reason. So you guys can hear it. And
Actually, there's a setting on Zoom that you have to set up too for the output. So it's not just your setting.
Oh, okay. But I mean, I already did that one. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
The share sound one. Yeah.
No,
okay.
No, not just share sound, but also there's another volume bar in Zoom, I think, for output. Go ahead and start playing one, and we'll see how that works.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's see who's here. Yeah, everybody that submitted, I think, is here, huh?
Okay. So Dan Marcus is. Let's see. We'll bring up the lyrics, and then this is so. Camara, you can follow along with the lyrics of each of the songs, and then we'll play. And then give me the high sign when you feel like you've heard enough of it, and we'll stop, and then you can do the comments. So.
Okay.
Should have held you closer when I had the chance. Should have kissed you softer, shown you how to dance. But it's over. It's over. It's all gone. And I'm going down my own highway, walking towards the sun. Yes, I'm going down my own highway, walking towards the sun. Well, I could have been with you by my side. It could have been much finer, even if you tried, but it's over. It's over. It's all gone, and I'm going down my own highway, walking toward the sun. Yes, I'm going down my own highway, walking towards the sun. I should have shown more feelings when you hugged me tightly. I should have been more open. There's so much left inside of me, but it's over. It's over. It's all gone, and I'm going down my own highway, walking towards the sun. Yes, I'm going down my own highway, walking towards the sun, and it's over. It's over. It's all gone, and I'm walking down my own highway, walking towards the sun, walking down my own highway, walking towards the sun.
Cool. All right. Whose song is this?
Dan Marcus, let's see. There he is, right there.
Dan
yeah.
Marcus. Okay, Dan. I don't see you, Dan.
There he is. Say something, Dan. There you go.
Hi, yeah.
Where are you, Dan?
Thank you for listening.
Oh, there you are. Hey, Dan. Hey.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Yeah,
And I really enjoyed your story, by the way, as well. It's wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Well, hey, I really enjoyed your song. How about that?
Thank you.
I'm curious, before I get into my comments, could you a little bit about the song, kind of the inspiration for the song?
The inspiration for the song?
Yeah, the inspiration for the song.
Yeah. It was, well, I guess a bad breakup. Sort of the end of an affair. And so the song just came out of that. Just came out of nothing else to do except write the song.
Right.
No other outlet.
Mm-hmm. Right. Hey, and so a catalyst for healing.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how well I healed, but it was like it was a catalyst. Yes, it was a start.
Yeah. No doubt. Great. It's kind of ironic, I think. Well, I guess again, it's not a coincidence that we were talking about Ray LaMontagne, because this reminded me of a song like a Ray LaMontagne song.
Oh,
that is very, kind of similar to, just very sincere in the and honest,
mm-hmm.
And the sentiment, behind it, and so. And I think, some of the best songs are those that, really give us uh, uh, kind of like a sense of the vulnerability of the one who's creating it, and you're bringing us to your world, and that was definitely felt in that. Um, I was curious if in the structure of the song, I noticed in the beginning when you went from your first verse, um, it went. It seemed like it went quickly into your chorus. Okay.
Mhm.
And I was just curious. It was curious because it was like it went verse. It felt like half a verse,
Right.
chorus, and then the half of the verse that should have been maybe with the at the beginning came
Mhm.
after the chorus before you went into the. And I was just curious about the idea of, was that a specific choice there, or just kind of how you felt it, or
I think of it as being in sort of a folk kind of structure where it's a short verse, a 4-line verse. My intent was to be very compressed with it, you
Mhm.
know, and then to get right into the chorus, which is, of course, that's the song, So yeah, did you sense that I could have extended those verses out or something a little more?
I'm gonna tell you what, my feeling was yes, that you could extend the
Okay.
first verse only because
Mhm.
what you are saying it has so much gravity to it.
Yeah.
And not only that, but when you come into the chorus, it kind of blends into the chorus. It's not like this is where the chorus starts. It kind of
Mhm.
eases into, it kind of morphs into the chorus.
Mhm.
And then, so the sense that I felt is that giving me a little bit more in that verse,
Oh,
okay, even
okay.
if it's just moving that what comes after your first chorus up, just moving that up,
The second
so
verse, you
that
mean?
yeah, but it didn't feel like it was your full second verse though. It was kind of like where is it? I wish, can we see the lyrics, Stephen, at the same
Sure.
time?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so when you have, oh darn, can you scroll up some?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I could have been much kinder with you by my side. You could have been much finer, even if you tried. That section, if that came earlier
Uh-huh.
in that first verse, or maybe not. I guess the idea that I'm
I'm
thinking
wide open.
is what you're saying, uh, because your story is so uh, personal that I felt like I wanted to know more before I kind of got a sense of what the theme of the
Ah,
story was.
okay.
I wanted to know more of your kind of the aside, kind of
Hmm.
get the details more of, and lead me into the chorus. And
Okay.
again, I can't reiterate enough. The reason that I say that is because of how you move into that chorus.
Hmm.
Because it kind of just bleeds right into it, and then
Right.
before you know it, we know that the theme of this is that you're going down your own highway. You're moving toward the sun.
Yeah.
And we get that that's what this is really about. You're
Right.
moving on. You know, so um, yeah. So my feeling is that that when you have those opportunities with a song like this, it is so personal and is so uh, you know it's like those kinds of nuances are what make the difference. You know,
Hmm. Okay.
in it. Um, so yeah. So and then okay, there was another section. See, I should have shown. I should have. Yeah. See, man, Dan. I guess it's one of those things where you can tell that there is so much gravity to what you're trying to say, And so even though you want to keep it kind of condensed, and sometimes we can be too condensed, and I don't think that for you that the question of even trying to condense is even an issue, because there's something that needs to be said. So you don't want to jip what needs to be said.
Okay.
You say what needs to be said and keep it moving, because there is this is, allow us, to kind of go on this journey with you, as painful as it may have been. Give us, let us take us there with you,
Okay.
because it's these kinds of songs that, a person will say, man, I know what that's like, and those are the best songs, man,
Great.
Uh,
Well,
the only criticism that I would offer, is for the vocalist that you chose to sing the song. When you're presenting a song, like say for instance, you were presenting this for a placement or something, okay? Which I don't know if that's what you were trying to do or not. Not necessarily. Okay, but let's say you were.
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay, if you were, you want to make sure that the performance of the vocalist doesn't distract away from your message.
Okay.
So, from the message of the song, okay? And, I get it, and I can look past those things, but little intonation things, that can distract people away from really hearing the words that you're saying.
Right.
You can, those are simple things that you can fix,
Mhm.
so just, in presenting the song, I would think that, you could just, fix that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
so it doesn't distract,
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Mhm.
That kind of
Yeah.
brings up a
Well-
question on my end a little bit. Now, for me, I'm hearing it for the first time, and right off the bat, I'm thinking Van Morrison, "Crazy Love." Because
Yes, definitely. Yes. It's funny you said that, because that reminded me of Belfast. Have you guys seen Belfast?
so anyway,
No, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
So
See you now.
my thought though was that what if he had like a vocalist that sounded a lot like Aaron Neville or Van Morrison singing this song?
Oh.
Would that detract from it getting placed, because somebody might think it sounds too much like something else? Or what would your opinion be on that?
Well, it depends. I think in that particular scenario, it pays to it's beneficial to know who you're pitching it for. Like, say for instance, this was pre, Belfast, which where Van Morrison's songs were the underscore for that whole movie. So if, even though he wrote the songs for that movie, at the time maybe you wouldn't have known, then having a Van Morrison kind of song submitted for that movie would have worked out perfect. But if you're doing a song where, the kind of landscape of the particular project that's not suitable for the project, and the only reason Van Morrison was suitable for that project was because he's Irish, it was the tone that of the movie, and also he is very entrenched in. He experienced that same thing that was expressed in the movie, and that's why it fits so perfect. But if you're pitching a Van Morrison for an Adele, that what I'm saying. It's like that probably wouldn't be. So it's just important to kind of to consider kind of what you're pitching for.
Mhm.
And then kind of go that route. But at the end of the day, truth be told, and we've all heard this before, a great song is a great song, no matter who's singing it. So
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
Okay.
we've got
But
quite a few.
Yeah, we've got
Actually,
yeah.
one quick thing though. I think that that Van Morrison analogy that Jimmy said, Dan, is a great analogy. And if you haven't seen Belfast, I would suggest you do. Just as a kind of, because it totally, your song could have totally have been in that movie.
Is that with Marianne Faithfull? Is she in the film? I'm thinking of something else.
No, that's with it's actually they're all unknowns. No,
I'll make a point of
Judith.
seeing it.
Actually, no, Judi Dench is in it though.
Oh, great.
Judi
Okay.
Judi Dench is in it, and to be truthfully honest, it's a love letter to Belfast.
Oh,
Matthew
I'm gonna watch
Brennick did a love letter to Belfast. It's a great movie.
Thank you.
You know,
I'm gonna watch it.
and all of the songs are written by Van Morrison, but they sound they're in the same class as what you wrote here. A very personal, a very honest, a very profound, story that is a universal story that everybody can relate to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate
Yeah,
this comments.
my pleasure.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we have Flo. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name, Flo. Or Mason Wu? Or Mason Wu? Is that right?
Yeah, it's a pretty intense name. That's why everybody just calls me Flo. It's so much easier. Oramacion, the W is silent, but Flo is just so much easier.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So
Okay.
let's bring up let's see, where are we here? Bring up the share and the lyrics up, which we do have, and then we'll start the song.
When you are losing the fight, someone put dark in your light. I'll turn your wrong into right. Baby, I will.
Cool. Great job, Flo. Where are you?
Thank you. I'm here.
Did you sing that, Flo?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, I thought so. I thought that was your voice there. All right. Okay, so there's Flo. Okay. So I'm curious. Okay, did you write this song? Were you pitching this for something, or is that?
I co-wrote it, and it
Okay.
wasn't a pitch. It was just a song on the track for a past project. So
Okay.
wasn't pitching, but definitely would be down for pitching it for licensing and sync for opportunities for sure.
Okay, and if you were, like, say that were something that was, in the future, where would you see the song? Like,
Definitely, situation, whether it be TV show or movie, where I guess it's a scene where I'm just trying to describe it, where you want to kind of describe to somebody that I'm your anchor. I'm there for you. I'm through thick and thin, no matter what obstacle or trials we're going through. I'm your day one. Do you know what I mean? I've got your back.
Mm-hmm.
I love you. I'm the eye of the storm for you. Your peace. You get the point.
right. Okay. So, are there any shows, like, say we're going to pitch this for a show? Are there any shows that you could think of where that kind of storyline fits with your particular song? I mean, that you have in mind?
As per the shows I've been watching lately, nothing is coming to mind, but I'm sure I don't know, maybe like something like All American, like I guess any kind of scene where there's love interests, but then like maybe somebody's going through challenges and they're like, or they're questioning the relationship, but maybe that other character is like, no, I'm here for you and I'm not leaving you. And you, like, others may have left you or disappointed you, but you know what I mean? That kind of, and I think that scenario, like, because there's always some kind of obstacle or trial when it comes to love, just to keep, the plot going. So I think this could fit the universality of like the ups and downs or the troubles that come in life, but that somebody is there for you. Yeah.
Right. Okay. The reason that I'm asking these questions is I think that these are important, like, questions to have answers for. Like, I have my ideas of shows that, this kind of song would fit in. But as the creator of the song, or co-creator of the song, we kind of have to be strategic in, okay, it's one thing to create a song that we may have done for a previous project or whatever, but as songwriters, what we want to do is to create songs that, although they may have been created for one particular venue or genre or situation, have a life that goes beyond that, And so even though your work has started, it's not done. Okay, you still got to find a place and have in mind, okay, well, where would this song best fit? Like, for instance, I thought when I was listening to the song, that show Sex Life, Do you know that show?
No, but I also wanted to mention to you, and I apologize, I didn't mention, I'm first and foremost an artist. So when I create songs, I just create, what's going on in life, what's inspiring me, what I want to speak about. But then again, once these songs are completed and released, if there are licensing and sync opportunities, then fantastic, right? So I've met tons of co-writers or specifically lyricists or songwriters that pitch and write specifically for licensing and sync. And for me, I write as an artist and get things out. But then if there are opportunities to use these songs after they're released for licensing and sync, great. Do you get what I mean? Does that make more? I should have mentioned that in the beginning.
Right. And that's specifically what I'm talking about. Like, the reason that I mentioned Sex Life is because the music supervisor for that show is a person who is very adept to choosing new artists that are doing new things and that are unknown, you know? So in the context of that, I mean, like when Grey's Anatomy first started, Grey's Anatomy started, and the kind of formula for the songs that were placed in those songs, although if you're kind of like into alternative, music or music that's a little left, you would know. But nobody knew of SAP. Nobody knew of, I mean, unless you were listening to, what's the band I'm thinking of? Darn, I can't think of them right now. I can't. But 07, Zap, Sap, bands like that. Alternative bands that are kind of a little to the left. But that was the formula for all of the songs that were used for that show. And as it turned out, that influenced the industry a great deal. So the reason I was saying that is in your song, it's obvious that you're an artist, and the way that I can tell that as a producer is because of how you produce the vocals. The vocals are leaps and bounds from a production value above the track itself.
Oh,
the way
okay.
you did those backgrounds were done well. They were done like yeah, all right now. I could hear what you were going for.
Mm.
But I also felt at the same time that the production of the track wasn't necessarily on the same level as your vocals were, and the production of your vocals.
Okay.
So what I would say, as a just a positive suggestion is that a song like this could have legs in other genres. In other formats, and be exploited in different ways. But since you have made it clear from the way that your vocals have been produced that you are legit, then you need to make sure that the whole track is that way, that it's consistent. Because me as a producer, I can listen to it and I can say, oh, yeah, the way that she did the balance on those backgrounds right there, the and the vocals and the harmonies and the way that it fits and everything, and her voice and the tone, I can hear all of that stuff, But at the same time, I get a feeling that, man, if the track was just a little more convincing like those vocals were, then I could really just sell this,
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. The other reason I was asking about your kind of where you saw this and kind of the background of it is, even though your vision is as an artist, that doesn't necessarily mean that it couldn't fit with another artist, And the reason that I wouldn't say that to everybody, but I say that in this particular situation, because the way that you performed the song wasn't you performed it in a way that for a vocalist who has their kind of own isms, would be able to still, they can hear your song, but then hear themselves singing your song at the same time. Like, your performance of it didn't say, hey, this couldn't be sung by somebody else. Case in point, when Dolly Parton did, And I Will Always Love You, okay? When you first heard her sing that song, people thought, okay, that was her song. But it was written in such a way that when Whitney Houston sang it, she put her stuff on it, and it took it to the stratosphere in a different way. And that's a compliment to you, that, even though you may write songs, for yourself and with yourself in mind, there could be other opportunities for other people to sing it as well that could be just as beneficial as it was for Dolly Parton, who never thought that her song would perform as it did, with someone else singing it. So you kind of got the two things going on. Your artist thing at the same time is, providing some, possible great songs for other artists as well. And I would encourage you to do both.
Thanks for your feedback. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. You have any questions for me at all?
No, I appreciate the feedback. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Good luck, Flo.
Fine.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Jeremiah Sullivan.
Hey there, how are you doing?
Hey, Jeremiah.
Hey, listen, can I just backtrack just for a second? Flo, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Flo, we were going to get together and do some writing just before COVID hit. And then COVID hit and we didn't get together and do any writing. And then I lost your contact information. I was like, damn. And here we are back to back.
Yeah.
On this thing.
No coincidence. No coincidences.
So I'm like, that's crazy. Because I remembered your first name, but your last name is a little difficult to remember. Yeah. I just knew it was long.
Yeah.
And so here we are. So anyway, we got to reconnect and get together. And I have a great Mac Pro set up and we can do all the programming and just have some fun.
Awesome. I love it. That sounds great.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds really
good. And talk one-on-one on the chat there to get you started. Just
okay, well, anyway, let's continue on. I don't want to hold anybody up, but I mean, this was really odd. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
No coincidences.
There's something to be said for that. There's something to be said. So, anyway, soldiering on. Crazy.
Okay, so this is Jeremiah Sullivan, and name of the song is Whoever It Is You're Looking For. And let me get the share up here and start the song.
You say you have to go out into the great unknown, but before you turn and walk away, there is something you should know. Whoever it is you're looking for, I truly hope you'll find. Whoever it is you're looking for, I hope they bring you peace of mind. I know you just can't stay. There's nothing left to say, and I understand that's the way love goes. So I'll pray things will go your way. Oh, whoever it is you're looking for,
great unknown.
Cool, Jeremiah. Cool.
Oh,
Hello.
hello.
Hey, so tell me, I'm curious. So, did you have this song, was this song created with a pitch in mind, or were you?
No, I mean, it was about a year ago. I had a few minutes before I was going to my job, and I sit down for a few minutes, and this came out. So it came out very quickly. I mean, I was just killing some time, and I sit down at my piano and played the chords, and the thing just emerged. And then I worked on the lyrics when I got home. So, yeah.
Right. Okay. All right, cool. Okay, so now having created it though, like what is your ideas for the song?
Well, I think it could be covered. I always heard it as being, I mean, I sing my own stuff because I can. I'm quick in the studio and I can get the right kind of emotion and get it done. I don't want to, that's because I'm also a composer like you. Like on my website, there's a bunch of cues, big orchestral cues, jazz cues, rock cues, ambient cues, just everything. So I always hear like a woman, like an Adele type singing the song. I just think she would be great. So yeah, that's what I hear anyway. So more of a female vocalist. I mean, what would you think?
Well, well, there are two things, okay? And this actually brings up a point that I didn't talk about before, but even though we're talking about, songwriting and kind of, our impressions of songs, nowadays, it kind of songs and production sometimes go hand in hand.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Asking where you go is because if we're talking about how the production is influenced with the song, then I have a certain idea of that. But if we're just talking about the song, it's kind of like if you separate it, there's one idea. If you take one element, it's another idea. So that's why I was asking, kind of what your idea was.
Yeah, I mean, it was just something we're talking. I did. Yeah. So.
Right. Okay. So then, if we're taking kind of, for instance, like your example of Adele. Okay. I didn't hear Adele.
Yeah, well, you know what? You're better at this than me because I just write stuff, and sometimes I do, but
No better at all. But I'm gonna tell you what I did hear, and I don't know if this is an idea that ever came to mind. Have you ever thought of translating your lyrics to Spanish?
No, but I have a bunch of Mexican friends, like a ton, so that'd be easy. So.
Okay. Now, the reason that I say that is because if we're talking about the content structurally, the melodic tone and everything, and the production, this is so totally a Tejano kind of thing.
Yeah, it does have that vibe. You're
it's
right.
so totally a Tejano thing. It's like, what? I mean, I know it's in English, but if that were in Spanish, just the lyric, the way that it goes, and is so that,
Yeah.
So I don't know if that were, if you were ever to, thinking of pitching, in that market for that particular
no,
song.
I haven't. It'd be really hard, I think, to translate the lyrics and get them right with the rhymes and stuff. I mean, that would be the only thing. You'd have to figure out kind of, a new kind of situation, I think.
Nah, it's not hard. It's just getting the right person. It's all about having the right people.
Well, one of my best friends is an interpreter. That's what he does for work. So,
Yeah. But so now, granted, that's keeping in mind the way that this was produced, and with and the lyric. Okay. Now, that's the first thing that came to mind. A lot of times, we'll do demos that, the demo is a demo. It's not supposed to sound like this, that, and the other. That's why I asked. I noticed, what you were doing, with, your strings and all of that. That's why I was asking, okay,
Yeah.
is the production kind of part, because it was pretty involved.
Yeah,
From that standpoint. Yeah. So if, for instance, your idea is to present to something like, say, this was for Adele, then I would make the suggestion that the simpler the better, because with a voice like hers, she can just,
Yeah, exactly. Because I did a version of this. It was just acoustic guitar and vocal and one cello and just one cello. That's all it was. And people really loved it. It was just a very simple, the vocal way up front, just piano. No, it wasn't a piano and one cello line, just that would come in and out. And I really liked it, but I wanted to do a big sort of production for it, just to have some fun.
Right.
So
yeah, I get it. Well, I think then, you have, a couple of options there, because in the other version that you talked about with the cello and the guitar, that would be maybe suitable.
That was piano, my mistake. It was piano and cello.
Even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah, because like you, I come from a classical background. I studied Indiana University in Bloomington, and then I went to Berkeley.
Okay,
so
okay. Yeah, so that would totally, fit. But I'm of the mind, man. That even if we do, it's those songs that we kind of just come out of us in the most kind of spontaneous moments. They're the ones that usually have the life that really lasts, because those are the ones that are coming from such a sincere place, that it resonates on a universal, And so I would encourage you, man, that if you haven't, if that wasn't even an idea, that if there's any way to, to get the song out, to get it to the people who it can really resonate with.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's a very universal song, and it's very melancholy. Again, I'm not really attached to my songs. They just happen, and then that's it. And so I go between, I don't like that one, I like this one, this sucks, this is good, that kind of situation. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, cool.
All right, thanks.
Sounds good, man.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up.
My pleasure.
Yeah, next up we have Jimmy, and this is an instrumental.
Actually, we've got other people here. We can put mine at the end. And
okay, all right. Let's bring up John Bernard then.
Yeah, I'm earlier, John.
Yeah, and
did Ed send anything in?
Love Night.
Okay.
Yeah, they both did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and let me get everything teed up here, and I'll do the share screen. I'll get the lyrics big enough so you can actually see them. Okay.
I've been watching you close, and it's hard to hide my emotions. Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The feeling's just right for you and I, and some closeness. Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so easy to see. Girl, it's just you and me. Let's do a love night. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You and me and the candlelight. Let's do a love night. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just let it go. Don't question, no, no, what you're feeling. Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Take my hand, say goodbye to your friends. We'll be leaving. Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so easy to see that you've Let's do a love night. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Just you and me and the candlelight. Let's do a love night. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do a love night. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Give me all your love and kisses. Girl, your love is all I've been missing. I don't want to let you go. Touch me down to my soul. Let's go home. Turn the lights down low, and we'll dance real slow all night long. So easy to see you belong with me. Let's do a love night. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You and me and the candlelight. Let's do a love night. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do a love night. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Do a love night. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna love night. Gonna love you, gonna kiss you, gonna hold you all night long. A love night. Gonna hold you, gonna kiss you, gonna love you, baby. Let's do a love night. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Let's do a
Cool. John? John.
Right here.
John. Are you there? All right. Ooh, good job, man.
Thanks.
That it here we kind of Bobby Womack-ish.
Kind of.
Kind of took me back there.
Or who's the guy now? Anyway, yeah.
Smokey.
Or
Oh, Smokey, yeah, Smokey.
or the guy that got record of the year, Bruno Mars.
Bruno.
There you go.
Oh, Bruno Mars.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So I'm curious. Is this a song that that you had a particular vision for or saw placed any particular way, or is this a kind of just expression of
Well, as a song, I was looking at new cars and new houses, but never happened.
Okay. I hear that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's honest. It's all in the timing.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
The guy that sang that is the guy that co-wrote it with me, Norm Sancho.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So so now that we're listening to the song, because this is an older song.
Yes.
Okay. So is this a song that, if produced now, would have the same tone?
I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at what Bruno Mars is doing now. I'm going, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. So what about that's a good conversation, because what about what Bruno is resonating kind of in the song that you have, or what in your song is resonating or gives you the idea that Bruno would be a good fit?
Well, it's in the same genre of Leave the Door Open, kind of that type of thing.
Oh, I see. Okay. I see what you're saying.
But that's just my opinion. I mean, whoever would take it.
No.
Do whatever they want with it. Yeah.
Right. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, I hear that for sure. I think that the one like consistency that I think resonates in what you're saying, like with the Bruno stuff or the Silk Sonic stuff,
Yeah.
and those songs of, you know, like I know Jimmy said, you know, Smokey Robinson, but I heard more Bobby Womack because that kind of vibe, there's a kind of dirty, gritty kind of thing that is just real kind of, you know, uh, love, like the Isleys would do it earlier in their career, you know, when they would, you know, just really kind of talk to you, just grown talk, you know, that's how they would do it. That's how the song felt to me. It was like grown people music, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's a, you know, a character about it that that I think, you know, probably isn't evidence enough, you know, in today's music. And probably, you know, with the exception of Silk Sonic, there are very few, you know, artists who are really kind of going down that lane in that way, you know, kind of tasteful. So it was, you know, it was really tasty to hear it and kind of, you know, with that perspective, you know, of maybe there being a resurgence of something like that. What I would say though is that if, and again, you know, I can't reiterate enough. I know this isn't a conversation about production, but when it comes to selling songs, where you're selling it to people, or, you know, trying to get it attracted to people who don't know you or who aren't familiar as much with you, you want to make as much of an impression as possible, and the production of your songs has a lot to do with that. So when you're using sounds in your original production that sound 80s-esque, there's a difference between, I guess, you know, having 80s-esque and having, case in point, you know, you talked about Bruno Mars. One of the great things about the 24K record is that he took the concept of the record back to the early 90s, but the production wasn't produced like an early 90s record. Right. It was produced like it was in the 2000s. So I would just suggest that if that is a lane, which I can totally hear what you're saying, you know, it being in that lane, that it would be advantageous to dust it off and bring it to 2022. And that doesn't mean taking away from the, you know, the contour of your song, or, you know, it just means giving us a sense that we're here with that flavor, you know, with, you know, the flavor of the 80s, you know. That would be, you know, my only, you know, comment about it.
Well, I'm all ears. Yes. Well, thanks, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, did you have any questions for me, you know, at all, you know, specifically about anything in the, I mean, what's
not at the moment, but I'll think of something.
I'll think of something. Hey, well, we got time. I mean, how are we on time anyway? Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
We've got, let me see, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
4.
my pleasure. Yeah, great job, John.
Thank you.
Oh, we have 4 more. Yeah. So next up, we'll have Marilee Weber, and her song is "You, You, You."
Right, Marilee.
And it is.
Yes.
Something I want to say to you, and I hope you understand. Oh yeah, we've been such good friends, ooh, and I never want that to end. Fate play its part with these words from my heart. Don't want wanna spend my life with you, oh yeah. Now I let that feeling in, and it took me by surprise, oh yeah. It happened so easily, ooh, the first time I looked in your eyes. That's when I felt the flame. Now nothing has been the same, 'cause right from the start, you won my heart, baby. It's you, oh yeah. I wanna spend my life loving you, oh yeah. Yeah, it's a melody that won't let me go. A violin playing sweet and slow. I am the strings, you are the bow. You play my heart, body and soul. Oh yeah. Come take my hand now. Oh yeah. This is a point, I can't hold it in. I need to know if you love me so. You take my hand. Oh yeah. You. Come be my man.
Merrily. All right. Merrily. Hey. It's funny. This is a different interpretation of you. You. Yeah, cool. Cool. So, okay, I have a question for you. Okay. In the bridge, okay, you're talking about, the violin, using the, metaphor of the, the strings and all of that. Can you, yeah, okay, it's a melody that won't let me go, a violin playing sweet and slow, blah, okay. All right, in that section right there, I'm curious, what you were thinking and what you were going for in that section. How did you come up with
Right.
that metaphor there?
Yeah, I wrote it with John, and it's out of the box. I understand that. So it's people being real in love, and saying different kinds of things. That's all I can say there.
Okay, the reason that I ask is because my sentiment is that it's not that out of the box, actually. That when I think of, like, one of the things that I enjoy a lot about Chris Martin, what he does with Coldplay, is that he'll have lyrics that are very metaphoric, all the time. But what makes them so intriguing for me is, that it's done in a way where it isn't as on the nose as it is kind of alluding to, and you're almost like, hey, what? And so the reason that I asked is I got the sense of what was going on in that bridge, and using the the metaphor there.
Right.
But I
Well,
wonder if there's a way where it could be done, like maybe less on the nose, less on, that doesn't take away from, the I guess one thing about love, even though you have made it clear it's you that has made this person feel this certain way. The one thing that makes love so amazingly great and frustrating at the same time is that it's ambiguous and mysterious at the same time. And so I wonder, since you have opened the door in that bridge to, by bringing in these metaphors and bringing in these analogies to what that is like, if there's a way to kind of do that where it's less kind of in your face. And believe me, I'm not saying this is a right or wrong thing at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just offering, a sentiment. That's all. I'm not saying it's what you did is not that way.
Bumped at that.
Yeah. So and I guess the reason it stuck out to me is because I got a sense of, it felt to me that you were going down that road to, kind of trying to create an analogy, a metaphor to what this experience felt like, which resonates, to anybody who's been in love, has felt that, feeling,
It sounds very old, doesn't it? The the arrangement and everything. It was written a long, long time ago.
Well, I mean, but that isn't necessarily, a bad thing or, a good thing. It's really what you were going for. And that's why I try, in all of these conversations that we're having, is get a sense where you guys are coming from, because, our conversations about what you're creating, I mean, it's all subjective, right? Anyway, I'm not saying right or wrong things. You guys didn't create anything that's right or wrong. It's just the impression that it's made on us. So I'm just hoping that, in our conversations that, that what we're talking about kind of, if you feel like, say, for that song, that it's completely like done and this is kind of how it should be released out to the world or whatever. If that's the case, then we're having one conversation. But if it's something that you still feel is, maybe a work in progress or leading to another work that's in progress or something, then I think that what we're talking about is valid,
Yeah, I want to, of course, I think most of us want to get it out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
In any way we can. So.
Right. Yeah. So then that's what I would think. I mean, if the song is, this seems like it's in the same lane, although it was created later, as the one that John played earlier. It was kind of in the same kind of family,
right?
In a sense, but I think that one thing that makes it very different is how you in that bridge kind of use those metaphors as a way to describe this love, describe how it feels, and so I would just offer, that if there's a way to to make it less just right on the nose. I mean, melody, strings, I mean, we know the phrase. Okay, what's the phrase of the like you strum my heart, or you things like that. But that maybe if it wasn't so on the nose, then it still alludes to the mystery that we all know of exists in a love,
Yeah.
which that's the part that makes it so exciting. As frustrating as it can be sometimes. You know?
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right. Next up, we have Nancy Kellel, and name of her song is Ukraine.
Mm.
Right.
Ukraine, I'm feeling so much shame. I don't know what to do. Ukraine, I see you every night. My TV blasts the news. Sitting where I'm comfortable while you're losing all you had. I'm trying to understand just how our whole world has gone mad. Ukraine. Ukraine, my heart goes out to you. I pray all day and night. Ukraine, I promise from my heart to help you shine your light. I can't believe what's happening before my very eyes. This world must pull together, so together we can rise. Ukraine. I am so mystified why war is better than peace. Ukraine, I send my song to you as I pray this war will cease. Ukraine. I can't believe what's happening before my very eyes. This world must pull together, so together we can rise. Ukraine. Ukraine. Ukraine.
Cool, Nancy. I can't hear you.
Sorry about
There
that.
you are.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you.
All right. Cool. So I'm curious. I've asked this question, to almost everyone. Did you have a particular idea for, I guess, the audience for this song, or and
It morphed into the idea because the inspiration was obviously watching my first, well, not obviously, but I was watching the first newscasts of the invasion of Ukraine. I was so affected by it. I didn't know what to do, and I almost felt like I had to write a song to I wanted to get a song out there about how I was feeling and about how I was thinking other people might be feeling. But in a little time when fundraisers started happening, after I wrote the song and then I put it up on YouTube, and then Mila Kunis, I don't know how you say Kunis, and Ashton Mila Kutcher, Ashton Kutcher, started doing fundraising, and I did everything I could to try to figure out how could I get the song to them. I really wanted to see if it was something they might be able to utilize with their fundraising, and it was something like that because I really wanted to contribute in some way to to this horrific situation. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I wrote it.
Wow. Well, I mean that speaks. I mean, like, going back to what we talked about earlier about like that intention of kind of where you're going coming through in the song. It's obvious. I mean, of course, apart from the title of the song, but
Mhm.
a la you know Bob Dylan, and Paul Simon, back in the days, with Simon and Garfunkel, and those songs that are politically, activist, oriented songs that this
Right.
totally fits in there. So I was just curious if that's what your intention was, and it sounds like that's what it was.
It wasn't that I consciously said I'm going to do like Paul Simon or the rest of them, but I had, upon putting it out there, people were saying to me exactly what you just did. This reminds us of that type of song, and this is great. This is what we need a song like this, because I had people tell me they didn't know how to put into words what they were feeling, and then my song helped them do that, and that made me feel good, because if I couldn't get it anywhere else, if I was at least getting that much of a reaction, it made my heart calm, it made me feel better,
Yeah,
as far as that
yeah,
goes. Yeah.
yeah. God bless you for doing that. I mean,
Thank you.
really, uh, I think that I mean, when we're able to use ourselves. I mean, of course, we want to place our songs where they need to be, but some songs have the kind of impact that they're supposed to make is, although monetarily it may not necessarily be what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to make a statement and be a
Okay.
sense of release that allows us to kind of wrap our heads, like you said, around some things, or even
Right.
kind of make sense or not make sense, but express frustration, or this is things we feel,
Hmm.
and that was clear in the song. I'm curious, have you thought about like, did you see the song being solo guitar and voice, or did you see it being produced in a bigger uh, with a larger arrangement, or was it, how did you?
Depending on depending on who wanted to use it,
Mm-hmm.
that would be my answer, because it originally was guitar vocal, and then I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
take it to the studio and beef it up, I guess. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it were going to get to, let's say, Mila Kunis and so forth, sometimes they want to take songs and make them even bigger than I put out there, like re-record it or something like that. But I thought that
Mm-hmm.
the way I did produce it um, was as far as I wanted to take it,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt good about it and comfortable with it. Um, but I mean, I never could break through the gatekeepers of these people, and I didn't know really what else I could do with it. But I put it up on YouTube, and I got I got some attraction there, and that made me feel good. And a lot of people wrote me letters and things and saying, thanking me for the song, because it helped them.
Right.
And like, you going back to what you said, sometimes a song is not going to make you a ton of money, but it's going to make a statement. And then sometimes there's a gratification in putting something out there um, that helps others. And in this case,
Mm-hmm.
this is the type of song. And it seems to me that some of the songs I write end up being just like that. Um, when the pandemic came, I had written a song called Frontline Strong, and it had to do with the frontline workers. So
Mm-hmm.
there you go again. It's the same. I seem to be writing songs that are, as you indicated, Paul Simon and Joan Baez, where they
Mm-hmm.
politically,
Yeah,
Bob
Joan Baez.
Dylan, it's that type of thing that I end up doing. Yeah.
Okay. So then, if that is a niche that you find yourself gravitating towards, then I would make the suggestion that you know those um, okay, places like participant pictures, or Samuel Goldwyn, those that Participant is all about social action. All of their movies, whether they're feature or documentary oriented, are about social action. You know,
Right.
that it would be unfortunately the woman who is a good friend, but who was leading their documentary just recently passed, Diane Wireman. But it was an amazing advocate for, like, you know, just everything that you're talking about in your song, and just stuff like that, you know. But I would in addition to, I guess, what you're doing is you know, try to, you know, reach out, you know, to those kinds of companies as well. That's something that is your niche, you know. You know, to Participant, to Plan B, who else? A24, you know, things like that. And also, you just reminded me too, 90 Day Fiance too. You know, they have 3 Ukrainian cast members on that show. They actually did a Ukrainian special, you know. But I think that now, I mean, because who knows when, you know, this mess is going to end, but it seems like it's not ending anytime soon. You know, that may be something that that may be advantageous to reach out to, you know, to see what's happening with the producers of 90 Day Fiance, and I'm not sure who's a music supervisor with those guys. But he is great for that, you know. So find out who those music supervisors are, you know, for that show, and I think that you know, that might be advantageous.
It's almost it's even possible that the show that this would fit with hasn't even been written yet, or is even in the works. It's because I'm not so sure, as you say, how long this is kind of got long-term ramifications in my head, and sadly, but I don't think it's I think there's still life for it somewhere. I just have a hard time trying to figure out exactly where to reach out. But you just gave me an idea, you know, the 90 Day Fiance. Right. I appreciate that.
Right, yeah. Because personally, I mean, and I think this is with, you know, with all of us, you know, is that we really don't, it's kind of in the oddest of places that it sticks, you know, and but but it's more important to, you know, just get it out there. If you have an idea, you know, that, and I'm a firm believer in this, that ideas don't just come to us because we're kind of just brainstorming, and ideas come to us because it, a lot of times, and most times, is a link, and kind of that is to give us the incentive to go in a particular direction. But a lot of times we don't follow it, though. We kind of think, oh, well, that's just you know, we just kind of pass it off. But it's those kinds of things, you know, like the coincidence that Jeremiah was talking about with Flo, you know, is you know, whether or not they work together or not, you know, but the fact that that happened means that there's an opportunity to be, you know, taken advantage of. And he did. He said, "Hey, Flo, I remember, you know, this."
That was really crazy. It was really,
yeah. But I'm saying,
I was like, "You got to be fucking kidding me!" I mean, it was like,
exactly.
It was really nuts. Yeah, it was
exactly.
Like, yeah.
But that's how it happens, though, right? Yeah. Really, I mean, you know, we're in these scenarios and situations that it's those spontaneous moments happen. A lot of times, we just kind of let them go. And but you know, if we're aware of what's going on, then we can actually see how these moments can actually, you know, can lead to and bring to fruition what we're actually desiring. You know.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Only 2 more, myself and Jimmy. So this is mine, called "Seen Too Much."
I'm insensitive today. Why do I act this way? She's only seeing part of the thing I call my heart, and she's almost out the door. But I've seen too much, and I don't react to anything. Past pains of the heart, torn me apart. I'm numb, she starts to depart. Yes, I've seen too much, and I don't react to anything. My eyes have seen it all. My actions start to stall. My best friend felt today a video snipers play, who sought publicity for the things he failed to be. Now his picture is everywhere. But I've seen too much, and I don't react to anything. I watch TV till 2:45. Someone else leads a life for me. Yes, I've seen too much, and I don't react to anything. My eyes have seen it all. My actions start to stall. I look at the world through the eyes of a man who's seen from heaven to hell. And there on the screen is the world as it is the videos add up to tell. Children of the bomb and assassins come. Streams of sound bites never end. The earth is warm today. The floods have moved this way. Papers carry lines of a new world that we find. Now the water is at my door. But I've seen too much, and I don't react to anything. I explain it away, intellectual play, silly news from a pole far away. Yes, I've seen too much, and I don't react to anything. My eyes have seen it all. My actions start to stall.
Hey, cool. You know, it's funny. Your song remind me. You know the band XTC? XTC. It's a
No,
British band.
Okay.
It reminds me. You know, one of the cool things
right.
about XTC is that they have these, these just real kind of Beatle-esque sometimes chord changes that they're kind of that way, but and not at the same time in a very cool way. So the chord changes that you chose, to come in and out of were just really cool, and how it fits with the rhythm and the melodies of your lyrics in the verses. The one thing that I was interested about is in your bridge. It seemed to be a bit wordy in the bridge.
Okay.
And I wonder if, sometimes, that can be an artistic thing, kind of a flavor that you're trying to add. And I was just wondering if that was the case, if that was something deliberate, or because it seemed like you were trying to fit a lot in the area, and I wasn't sure if that was consistent rhythmically, and that's what you were trying to do, or so I was just curious about that. If you could just talk about the
I think it was just more the concept, the idea. I mean, it wasn't thought out syllable by syllable in that sense. No, it was really more a matter of just trying to say what I wanted to say. I think the song is, as you can imagine, is about desensitization. It's about people who get so bombarded with all this stuff, they just don't move anymore. And, you know, those are three examples of that. You know, somebody who's, you know, doesn't pay much attention to their lover who's walking away, somebody who's, you know, mesmerized by the chaos around them if their friend gets shot, you know, in one of these shootings. And the last one is, of course, more slow. It's global warming, but it's, you know, the point is we've all become a bit desensitized, unfortunately, because we're living in the world we're living in. And it's almost like a coping mechanism, like you have to do it. You know? But in terms of the word cramming, if you will, it wasn't planned by any means. It was just more a matter of somehow it just came out that way. I didn't, you know, maybe I could shorten it or make it a little more precise. That's possible. I never thought of it that way, but.
Well, or maybe, you know, neither of those things need to happen. I was, you know, two things came to mind when I was listening to XTC and the Doors. And the Doors in particular, because, you know, Morrison had a way where he would use a lot of words a lot sometimes, but what kind of, it was the juxtaposition of with Densmore and the vibe of the band that made it seem like he wasn't saying as much as he was saying. And he, you know, he would go, you know, on, you know, and talk about. So I wonder, and I think you alluded to this in the bridge where it actually, in the music, it kind of not slowed down, but it was like halftime in a few sections. Okay. Because I guess what I was feeling is that what you were saying was so profound, and I was kind of taken out of the message a little, with it just being, you know, just a little too cerebral in a sense. That's how it felt. Just for me, you know, it just felt a little too cerebral for me. When you are, it's very clear that you are taking us kind of like through these acts of, you know, first act, second act, third act, you know, kind of different glimpses. It's almost like if you were to, I can't help but to see things, you know, cinematically, but I could see, you know, the different images of, you know, these different scenarios, kind of, you know, with the same thematic idea. So, you know, so I would just wonder if maybe it's something, you know, even instrumental that gives us the sense that maybe things, you know, not slow down a bit. So it gives you space. It gives you space for that lyric to kind of make it, and then it picks up again in the next. I think there's a verse after chorus after that bridge, right? And then it picks back up, you know, which would be totally consistent with, you know, how you've gone through the tune, you know. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, just a thought, man. Just a thought.
Sure. No, I mean, in terms of placement, I guess this is more of a song you'd see in a documentary maybe or something as a background or an intro to a certain scene or something like that. Or you know, almost more of a news program or a psychological hour special or something. But it's not, I mean, it's very niche. I realize, I mean, but I wrote this song a long time ago. That's the thing that's frightening about it, is that it's still contemporary.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is that it sounds like a band should play this song. Like it sounds like it's a band song, you know. Like it just like I said, you know, the first thing that came to me was XTC, you know, the Doors, you know. It's a band that REM has the same kind of feel to me, you know. REM, which, you know, these are older bands, but you know, just those feelings were like, you know, it just resonated in that way.
Yeah, good feedback. No, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay. So last up we have Jimmy, and this is an instrumental.
Oh, there's nobody else? You sure?
No, yeah. I think we got everybody.
You're
Ed
up.
didn't say anything in?
No, Ed didn't send anything in this time.
Okay.
Okay. Let's
So you can
see.
cut this off at any time. It's kind of just a jam.
Okay, where are we here?
So just signal
Here we
Steve
go.
when you heard enough.
There we go.
Bad track? Should be okay. Steve?
Jeez.
Not hearing it.
Did you say you're not hearing it?
No, because
No.
you didn't go to the screen to share it.
Oh. All right. Sorry about that. Think that's enough, Jim? Okay.
Good enough. Is it? I was listening to see if there was going to be a bridge there.
Nah, the
You
whole
take it out too soon?
No, there's really no bridge. It's kind of a jam thing. The whole idea was that it was sort of incidental music, and I was just wondering what you thought about it as incidental music like that.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh. Okay, cool. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I was just I was yearning for the bridge, man, for that bridge to come because the melody was kind of leading us to like, I was, in this definitely trance, boom, 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 boom. I was vibing with it. Um, it would have been, cool to maybe just have, just a slight change, uh, just to kind of lift it up and then come back, to it. Maybe not even that often, maybe even just one time, but yeah, so just to give it some variety. The only other comment that I would have though, the groove is so cool that um, when things aren't lined up, a bit, it kind of sticks out, you know. So it seems like if that were just cleaned up a bit, then it wouldn't take the listener kind of out of the groove since it is so you know it's there. It's kind of you feel it, dum, 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 and you don't want to leave it. Dum, 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 dum. So as long as that bass and your guitars, are all on the same page, that we can just ride with you, because it's a great place to be, and then the flute, can do, what it does with no issues of, you know, any clams from the band. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, those are my only comments, man. Really.
Yeah, it's a friend of mine doing Native American flute, so
Yeah.
we're doing a project with that and wanted to have something that has that Native American flavor, but a little bit more
Yeah.
of a groove to it. So that's I wrote
Yeah.
that for him.
Yeah. Well, sounds cool, man.
No,
Sounds
thank you.
cool. Look forward to hearing how that project turns out.
Yeah, we got some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Native American flute
Wow.
with some heavy metal and some funk. It's definitely
Oh
different.
wow. Wow, that sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Really interesting.
it'll be cool.
So
Wow.
we're at the end of the songs. Jimmy?
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions or comments or anything else?
Thanks, Kamara, for just, taking your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey.
Awesome.
Terrific.
Commentary was
Thank.
fantastic, and really appreciate the time. Also, just for everybody's knowledge in the chat, if you wanted to put your website or contact info or anything, we'll leave that up for a few seconds. And then, of course, as all of you know, if you want to save the chat on the lower right when you bring it up, there are 3 dots, and you can say save chat, and it will save it on your computer. So if you want to put in any contact info or anything like that, they'll give you a few minutes, and then before we all sign off, we can deal with that. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and if I could, I would like to, thank you, so much. It was a pleasure to be, with you guys, and and I hope that this was beneficial. It definitely was for me, and I appreciate Steve
very
and
much so.
the invitation. Definitely. So my pleasure.
Well, we'll love to have you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Hey, anytime.
Yeah.
Are you going to be at NAMM?
It's funny that you asked because I probably will be this year. I don't usually go, but this year I might be doing some performances there. So we'll see.
With which booth?
Well, to TBA.
Yeah,
Gotta,
Roland's
sorting
not
that
gonna
out.
Be there, yeah.
Yeah, sorting that out right now. So, but I'll let you know. I mean, I have your information and.
Okay, yeah, I'll be looking
yeah,
for it because I'm there all 3 days and for the breakfast
Okay.
too. So
Okay.
it'll be good. Yeah, one of the other things you might have noticed I had kept commenting about some of the other songs because I used to be a DJ and.
Oh, okay.
So one of the things that you do as a DJ is you're always beat mixing stuff, and you want stuff that sounds alike, and that's one of the things that I used to do for film and TV and stuff too, is sound alikes.
Right.
And I was actually doing
okay.
bootleg karaoke with another friend for a while.
Oh wow! That's
Back in the
something
day
else.
before a lot of stuff was going on, and before you could do the sampling and things correctly or incorrectly. My friend would hear the latest top 40 stuff and say, "Hey Jimmy, let's write this out." So he'd chart it. I'd play guitar and bass. He'd bring in another friend doing drums, and he'd play keys, and made it sound literally like the record, and there's a lot of people that couldn't
Right.
even tell. So
Wow.
that wasn't quite legal, but we had a good time doing it.
Right. Wow. Your secret's safe with me. Or us.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the interesting things about that was that it generated a lot of revenue for him because, in the karaoke world, there's a lot of artists that want the latest and the greatest, and at that time you couldn't get those tracks to sing along with. And so we would produce a track that sounded exactly like the record, and people would pay ridiculous money to have the first tracks of that thing. Like I think we did Anita Baker, Just Because, right? So
Yeah.
the day that song came out, we knew it was probably going to be a hit. So we immediately went in the studio and recorded that. And sure enough, when it hit, we already had been selling that in his little karaoke shop. So
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. It is.
yeah,
The
it is
revenue
funny.
stream. Yeah, right.
It
Yeah.
did get some
Thieves,
revenue stream.
thieves, thieves.
Thieves,
Yes,
thieves amongst us.
You had to turn off the YouTube,
Yeah, but the other interesting thing about that,
exactly.
yeah, but the other interesting thing was that I wound up getting some sound-alike tracks from that, because of that. So, like, somebody that was doing an indie film knew that I did that, and said, "Hey, Jimmy, I want something that kind of sounds like Van Halen. Can you play like Van Halen?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So we did something that was very similar to Jump. Jeremiah's got a Juno, so that
Yeah, I found an old Juno 106 that I've just had looked at, so I'm getting ready to get rid of it. I mean, I have a Mac Pro, so it's like the Juno's going to go bye-bye.
Well,
So,
All right.
But that
yeah, I
sound,
have a funny story myself. I have a friend who worked in TV years ago, and what they would do is they would put a song in the script sometimes, and then they would find out whether they could afford the song. You probably know all about this. And he had to write sort of something to replace the song "Black Magic Woman" by Santana. And he
Good
submitted
luck
it,
with that. Yeah.
and he submitted the song, and they said, "No, not quite. You get a little bit more like a vibe." And he's like, he's overworked all week. He's working on it. Not quite. The end of the week, he calls me over, and he's like, at this point, has to slept. And he says, "Listen to this. Tell me if this sounds anything like it." It was exactly Black Magic Woman.
Yeah, that sounds right.
that whole Ghostbusters thing, that was crazy, with Ray Parker and Ghostbusters. Yeah. That was exactly like Want a New Drug, and it was like, hey, and that went to court. So.
Okay.
Well, everyone, thank you so much. Jimmy, I'll see you at NAM. I'm going to be there all 3 days. So anyway,
yeah,
thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you for your time. Kamara, thank you for your time. And
all right, thank you.
That's it. Anyway, take care.
All right, Camara, thank you again.
All right.
And
all right.
We'll have you back. All right.
Yeah, we'll be in touch for sure. All right.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thanks.
everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Camara.
Okay. Good night. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jimmy and Stephen.
Okay.
Most welcome.
Okay.